Even couples like Barack and Michelle Obama, the ultimate relationship goals, have their own role models when it comes to love and longevity. And guess who tops their list? None other than Bruce Springsteen and Patti Scialfa. In the latest episode of her podcast, IMO, Michelle sat down with Bruce himself and didn't hold back her admiration.
You and Patti have been couple mentors for me and Barack.
Now that's a compliment. Can you imagine the Obamas taking notes on love from Springsteen and Scialfa? Michelle went on to say she's always admired how Bruce and Patti do the work, adding that she and Barack have learned from watching how they keep the communication flowing. It's refreshing to hear such honesty from someone whose own marriage is seen as the gold standard.
You got two powerful people in you and Patti, your own powerhouses in your own right.
Honestly, powerhouses is the perfect word for both couples. They've raised families, built legacies, and supported each other every step of the way. Speaking of family, Michelle also marked a special moment this week. Her youngest daughter, Sasha, just turned 24. Michelle celebrated with a sweet family photo on Instagram, writing, "Can't believe how quickly time has flown." We feel that, don't we? And if you're wondering, yes, Sasha and Malia looked incredible. Malia wore a soft yellow dress, while Sasha embraced full island girl vibes with a flowy skirt, nude tube top, and standout pendant necklace. Style clearly runs in the family. Now, back to Bruce and Patti. For those who don't know, they have been together for more than 30 years, just like the Obamas. And they've collaborated in more ways than one. Patti joined Bruce's E Street Band back in the 80s, and they've been making music and memories together ever since. But here's something you might not know. Patti wasn't Bruce's first love story. She was his second chance, and he didn't let that one slip by. Because before their story began, Bruce was married to actress Julianne Phillips. Bruce Springsteen met Julianne Phillips during one of his tours after his agent introduced them. The musician was immediately attracted to Phillips, and the two quickly bonded over their love of working out and rock and roll. In his autobiography, Born to Run, he described her as a tall, blonde, educated, talented, a beautiful and charming young woman. At the time, Bruce was said to have a mutual attraction with bandmate Patti Scialfa. However, this died down as he and Julianne began dating. The romance advanced quickly despite the pair's 11-year age difference, and the musician soon took Phillips to meet his family. The pair married in 1985, but only after dealing with fans and paparazzi. Although the singer loved the actress, he had a fear of commitment. Right after the wedding, Springsteen began suffering anxiety attacks. Sometimes he would be disturbed by the dreaded ticking late at night in his sleep. Bruce was also dealing with inner anger, which prevented him from emotionally investing in his marriage and getting close to his wife. The musician was so unsettled by what was happening inside him that he swung from hypersexual to non-sexual, all while trying to keep his emotions hidden. "I was scared, but I did not want to scare the wits out of my young bride," the boss explained in his autobiography. Bruce confessed that he grew up broken because of his relationship with his father, Doug, who was frequently mean to his son and suffered from alcoholism. Doug had a lot of rage and frequently terrified his family. The troubled relationship between Springsteen and his father continued until Doug died in 1998. Even before his death, he couldn't tell his son, "I love you." You'd hear his voice breaking up, but he couldn't get out the words, Bruce said about the moment. Because of his childhood, it was hard for Bruce to have healthy relationships with women. He described his wild nights as a rock star on the road as merry psychosexual carnage. In his autobiography, the musician admits he hurt a lot of women during his life. "There was a part of me that was capable of great carelessness and emotional cruelty, that wanted to wound and hurt and make sure those who love me paid for it," he wrote. The songwriter found himself drawn to Patti Scialfa, his bandmate. There had always been a mutual attraction between the two. Scialfa was also closer to the musician's age. During his 3-month Tunnel of Love Express tour, Springsteen and Scialfa spent a lot of time together, frequently performing duets on stage. As a result, their professional relationship quickly turned into something more. Patti had always had a soft spot for Bruce. One of her teachers once said in an interview, "Patti's been in love with Bruce for as long as I can remember." When the relationship finally came into the open, it wasn't a big surprise for Scialfa's social circle. The musician slipped away from his wife emotionally and was often spotted with Scialfa. The pair was even photographed cuddling on a hotel balcony in Rome. Since his feelings for Patti were growing, Bruce tried to convince himself that Julianne was using him. Nothing could have been further from the truth, he later wrote in his autobiography. Ultimately, Springsteen came clean about his relationship with Scialfa. In 1988, Phillips filed for divorce. The singer has since confessed that he dealt with the split abysmally by insisting on keeping things quiet as they divorced, which did nothing but create more rumors. "I made a tough thing more heartbreaking than necessary." With time, Bruce admitted he was emotionally stunted and not ready for a relationship with Phillips. "I placed her in a terribly difficult position for a young girl, and I failed her as a husband and partner," he wrote. The divorce was finalized in 1989, and the singer had to pay his ex $20 million. Wow.
Pay me my money down.
Meanwhile, Springsteen and Scialfa continued their relationship. The boss has described his bandmate as a formidable partner, feeling a very strong attraction to the musician. Patti had a part that carried a charged sexuality. She could seduce and she could stir you to jealousy, he wrote about her. Springsteen and Scialfa were often surrounded by paparazzi and were scrutinized by the public, which made their relationship difficult at times. However, the pair managed to make it work and soon moved in together. In 1990, the couple had their first child. 1 year later, they got married and had a daughter. Their third child was born a couple of years later. Springsteen has confessed that his children have no interest in his music.
Strangers would come up to us, and I used to always have this thing I'd tell them. I'd say, look, my job, I'm Barney for adults, all right?
And he doesn't mind because they don't need a hero, they need a father. In 2022, he and Scialfa became grandparents. Bruce and Patti's relationship is still going strong. The two have been married for more than 30 years. Although the musicians have endured difficult moments like Springsteen's depression, they have always supported each other. The musician was dealing with the mental illness at the time of his 2012 album Wrecking Ball, which included a song about his struggles. Bruce was worried that the disease would make him become like his father. His paternal family had relatives with mental health issues, which were undiagnosed or not discussed. It was simply mysterious, embarrassing, and ordinary. Springsteen's physical health was suffering too. The singer was underweight and mostly consumed fast food. At one point, he was so weak that he needed to be escorted off stage. Bruce initially tried to combat his depression by becoming healthier and going to the gym, but despite his new fitness routine, his mental health was still suffering. Springsteen finally realized that depression was mainly a biochemical issue and that he needed more than an exercise program in order to control it. Patti stayed by Bruce's side as he continued going to therapy and learning to deal with the illness. She was stable enough and strong enough, and she brought a lot of love, so those were very healing things over a long period of time, Springsteen explained. The star also said that his relationship with Patti was the only one where his depression was understood and that she knew how to handle and live with the twisted parts of his personality better than some of his other partners. The couple continues working together. Springsteen explained that they have developed natural boundaries and, depending on the situation, they take a personal or professional approach. When she comes on stage with the E Street Band, she's an E Street Band member. And when we walk off stage, we're husband and wife, he said. It seems like the rock star has learned from his past, and although he regrets the way he treated Julianne, he has found his forever with Patti. It's great to know that Bruce got help for his issues and is finally happy with a stable family and relationship. We admire the courage he took to admit he was in the wrong while married to Julianne, and are glad the former actress is finally enjoying the privacy she longed for. Here at Rumour Juice, we wish Bruce and Julianne all the happiness in the world.